Hi everybody, Joel Kennedy with Kennedy Violins. So today's another play-along video, and in continuation of our Suzuki series, we are covering Gavotte in G minor from Suzuki Book 3 today. So first I'm going to play through the song, and then I'm going to play it with the metronome and give you guys some helpful hints and advice on how to practice it and get the most out of it. And don't forget, at the end of this video, I'm going to be throwing a dart at the dartboard of destiny back there. It will decide what the Suzuki song is for next week. Okay, so let's get to it. Okay, and that's that. Okay, so for our time signature, we have cut time, right? That's why we have that C with that line down the middle. So instead of 4/4, we have 2/2. So we have 2 beats in a measure, and the half note would get the beat. Okay, so for the key signature, we're in the key of B flat major. We don't usually get the key of B flat major in Suzuki. It's kind of cool. They're teaching you new things. So we have 2 flats, B flat and E flat. So what does that mean for our left hand? Well, realistically, right, we don't have any stuff on the lower string, so we'll just talk about the upper string. So we have low second finger on the A, low second finger on the E, right? So we have a C natural and a G natural, right? Low second finger, low second finger. Okay, we also have low first finger. So we have a low first finger on the A, low first finger on the E. So that low first finger on the A is a B flat, low first finger on the E is our F natural. We also have low fourth fingers. So if there's not an accidental, and there are plenty of accidentals in this, you play a low 4 on that A string, that's your E flat, right? Here's your E natural, here's your E flat. So your fourth finger is not going to sound like your open E string. Okay, so that's it for the time and key signature. Let's talk about the accidentals a little bit. Okay, so the first trouble in paradise that we have is instead of a low second finger, so I'm talking about the first measure of the second line, instead of a low 2, which would normally be an F natural on the D string, right? And we have a, right? So when you see that F sharp, that set sharp on that 2, make sure that your second finger is touching your third finger. Remember, if that high 2 is not touching your 3, it's out of tune. And hopefully your third finger's in tune, right? So low 4, low 1. Okay, so we have that accidental, that F sharp. It appears several times throughout the piece. Okay, so we have our next big accidental that's kind of a weirdo. So we have, right? So now we have a C sharp. So make sure, again, that high second finger, make sure that touches your third finger. Then our normally E flat is accidentaled to a E natural. So they want you to play at fourth finger the first time and play at open E the second time. Okay, why should I do that? Well, number one, to make it more interesting, right? So you're not just playing, you're going. So you're making it a little bit more interesting. But mostly it's to teach you to make sure that that fourth finger matches your open E. So if you're practicing this and that open E does not match your fourth finger, that means you played that fourth finger out of tune. And more than likely you played it flat, right? Because that's what people usually play, the fourth fingers out of too low. So make sure that fourth finger matches that open. Now we have open E, E natural. Now we have E natural again, but with the fourth finger. So just make sure it matches that open E you just played. C sharp. Then we have that B natural. So now you got a natural first finger instead of that. Right? So summarize again. If we start looking at that top line, first we have that C sharp. Going on, we have fourth finger, E natural, open E, E natural. Then open, match that E, then C sharp. Okay, so that's about it for the accidentals. So let's just talk about the articulation just a little bit. Okay, so the articulation for this piece is very legato. So this whole piece, in my mind, it's very mysterious, right? They should have wrote, Mysterioso or something at the beginning, right? So the whole thing, it's like kind of like, well, it's a minor, right? It's in a minor key, and it's kind of mysterious. It's kind of like the fog on the lake, almost, Right? It's very, very mysterious. So you want your bow strokes to be very smooth. And you want to make sure that you obey those pianos and you kind of create that sound if you can, right? Right? And it's going to be mostly in the kind of middle to upper part of the bow. So. Right? So you won't do a lot of stuff at the frog here. Okay, so then you have a couple staccato notes thrown in there. Last line, second, or last measure, second line, right? You have that, right? So I wouldn't, go bonkers for those. It just means that, they're just not legato connected. So just play them sort of, separate, so. I mean, you can go, or, you can do whatever you want, but I wouldn't advise it. It's just, it doesn't really make sense for the mood of the piece. So, right? So those staccato notes are going to be easier if you're lower in the bow. So my advice to you is, as you're practicing this, when you know that you've got those staccato notes coming up, make sure that you prepare your bow so when you get to those staccato notes, you're a little bit lower in a bow, so it'll make it a little bit easier. So for example, if I start the first measure of the second line, I'm at the tip, because it's piano. But I know I've got those staccato notes coming up, so I'm going to kind of prepare for that. I'm kind of working my way towards the lower part of the bow. Right, here's a good opportunity to work your way lower. Then tip again. And make sure also your low fours touch your three every time. So for example, if I'm in the first measure of the third line, okay, a few measures in, I got that low fourth finger, right? Well, it comes right after a third finger. So keep that third finger down and touch your four to that third finger. So, keep it down, touch. 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 Okay, so let's talk about one little tricky, sort of kind of tricky rhythmic section, and I think that'll cover it for this piece. Okay, so fifth line down, we have this figure. Right? It's this kind of cool little syncopation that they threw in there. The first time a lot of students play this, they have a little bit of trouble. So what I would advise is put your metronome on. Okay, right now I've got it on 110. Play that section with no slur. So right? Then play a measure before that. So no slur. Right? So once you get that in your head, dun da dun da dun da dun da dun da dun da dun, then once you've got that in your head, I'll slow it down a bit. I'll put it on 100. Right? So then put the slur in. Then back up. Okay, so that's really the only tricky rhythmic section. But just remember, use your metronome, or at the very least tap your foot, but take the slur out. Bum, 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 bum. They're just eighth notes. All you're doing is just changing the bowing, right? Bum, 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 bum. Bum, ba, dum, ba, dum, ba, dum, ba, dum, ba, dum, ba, da. Okay? And that's about it for that. Okay, so that's about all I think that I really perhaps need to say about this piece. And then pay attention to the dynamics, right? You got some pretty cool dynamics, right? It goes up to forte, and you got some pianos. So just try to create a cool mood with this, but mostly it's about pitch, right? This piece is about pitch. So if you have to practice the whole thing without any slurs, to make sure you get it in tune, then let's just practice it without any slurs, right? Right? If something is too difficult for you, remove some complexity. That's just a basic practice technique. Remove the complexity of, let's say, higher tempo, or remove the complexity of, let's say, a complicated bowing. Right? So make it easy, make it simpler, practice it slower, then add the complexity back in. So I hope this video helped at all for this piece. If it didn't, let me know why it didn't help, and perhaps I can incorporate other things in my future videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Oh, and by the way, I've got to throw the dart to the dartboard of destiny. Okay, what am I thinking? The universe has to tell us what the piece is for next week. Okay, so let's throw the dart. Okay, I have my weapon in hand. Hopefully there are no creatures of the night marauding around the premises. Let's throw the dart and see what we're doing for next week. Okay. Book 2 Waltz. So Suzuki Book 2 Waltz. Okay, so that's kind of a cool little tune actually. So guys, hope the video helped as usual. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And give me any comments that you want, and because I read them and I respond to them. So with that, I hope you guys have a great time practicing, and have a great day.